Hello folks and welcome to the Vertigo Tea Party, and let's try Reus or Reus. Not sure how it's pronounced. We're gonna call it Reus, even though I'm pretty sure that is incorrect. It's the first game from indie developer Abbey Games, who are stationed in the Netherlands. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. Now you do get options every time you start. The very first time you play, your only option is beginning. In a nutshell, what that means is this is the tutorial. You have to do it. Honestly, I'm not a fan of that because what happens if I uninstall and 6 months down the line I want to play again, but I've lost my save file? I have to do the tutorial again, even though I probably don't need to. A very minor knock against the game, but still, just personal pet peeve. You can also choose free play, where, as you can imagine, you just play until you're tired of playing with that world. But we're going to do era. This is the main gameplay mode. And right now we can only choose 30-minute sections, but later on we can unlock more. I'm not sure how you do that. I think it's by doing challenges, and we'll talk about those. But let's go ahead and get started. Now, Reus is a godlike game. So if you played games like Populous and Black and White, you'll be familiar with a lot of these aspects. The basic premise isn't that complicated, but once you get into it, it actually can be a little bit in depth. It's pretty interesting. These are challenges that are locked. There's a whole lot of them. There's a lot more than this, but I think they're just throwing you the easy ones to give you an idea of what to shoot for, or more developments. I think that's what they're called. Developments, challenges, same things. So here are your giants, and I'm actually going to pause the game here. You can pause with the spacebar because we only have 30 minutes. Which might be good for you folks, so that I don't make another hour-long video. The premise is you are the planet. You are the planet, and from what I can gather from the cutscenes, these giants helped to build the world. Humans came up, but then they started wars. They ended up attacking the giants. So the giants basically said, "Screw this noise." Went to sleep. Humanity wiped itself out and completely made the parent planet barren. So we've woken up again. We've woken up our 4 giants who are elemental based, and we're going to try again. See if we can make a world that the humans don't screw up. Good luck with that. So the very first thing is you can scroll around the world with a mouse. You can scroll in and out to zoom in and out. We're going to zoom in for now. Starting off, let's go ahead and build an ocean. So we're going to pick our crab. The crab, by the way, is the best giant. Obviously, because he is a giant crab, that makes him the best. So we're going to tell him to build there. I still got it paused. Now, in this game, you can have multiple human villages. For simplicity's sake, for my own sanity's sake, of trying to explain to you guys how this game works, while still not losing horribly, we're just going to go with 2 villages. So while I'm building the ocean here, I'm going to tell my rock giant to go down here, and he's going to raise a mountain. And what mountains do is on either side of the mountain, deserts will form. So let's go ahead and unpause and let them do their thing. Now, the giants are kind of slow. They have different speeds. The earth giant is the slowest. So actually, I should have built the mountains here, but oh well. My one tribe is going to be a mountain. I think a mountain tribe. Or no, let's make them a desert tribe. The other one's going to be a swamp tribe. I like swamp. Swamp is fun. So we're going to choose our swamp elemental. You can either click on element, or not elemental, they're giants, but I'll probably call them elementals multiple times. You can click a number key, or you can just click on them. You can also double click and it'll move the camera to where they are. Now each giant has one ability that creates an ecosystem. The crab, as you saw, dug a hole and made an ocean. The swamp guy can make swamp. However, he has to have water close by. So if you'll see, if I try to make a swamp here, there's a little X on the cursor. So we're going to move it right next to the ocean here, and he's going to go over there and build it. The mountain giant is almost over there. We'll watch him build the mountain as this guy builds swamp. You can't change the speed on this game as you could in a lot like this. Which might seem a little ponderous at first, but once you get 2 or 3 villages going at the same time, I found that I didn't have any spare time because I was constantly trying to get the giants to go from one section to another. So I did not actually want to speed time up. I was always doing something. So let's go ahead and get started here. The way we get started, before we get people to settle in our lands, is we need some kind of resource that will attract them there. There's 3 types of these resources. There's either food, there's wealth, or there's research. What you put first will determine what type of civilization or village that is. So we're going to start with food. So we're going to pick our tree giant, and we are going to tell him to plant fruit. We're not going to do it right in the center. We're going to kind of do it off to the side here. Let's say right about here, and he'll do that. Again, I paused. And while he's doing that, let's go ahead and focus over here. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that because we will get confused. I will go ahead and make another civilization or culture when I get a chance to. But for the now, let's just focus. Let's go ahead and bring the giant back. As you can see, when I right click, it puts icon here to show that he is on the way. Now we created food and we've got settlers now. A swamp village has been settled. Swamp villages often start projects that require technology. Try using advanced minerals and herb plants within the village borders, and it is herb, by the way. You can turn those tutorial messages off, but I've left them on just because I'm bad at remembering things. So as you can see here, we have elderberries, and again, I've paused the game. And up here, whenever you click on a resource node, or it's a resource patch, I believe is what it's called, it will tell you what you're getting from that patch up top here. You can see we're getting 5 food and 2 natura. I'm not 100% sure what natura does. It says it boosts synergies. So my guess is that if there's a synergy going on, it makes the synergy better than it normally would be, and we'll go over synergies in just a bit. You can also look at the bottom here below, and you can see various stats. You can hit control, and it will change what you see. I like this view the best, personally. Now, 1 of 5, what that means is, for this village, we're pulling in a max of 5 food, but right now we're only using 1 of that 5 food. Because again, you can see elderberries here can only do 5, and natura is not a real resource. Again, the resources are food, research, and wealth. Let's go ahead and unpause and let them do their thing. While the villagers are kind of getting set up here, we are going to try to get more food because I think they should be more even though it said they're focused on science, I think they're still going to be focused on food. It looks like I was completely wrong. It looks like it is based on the biome that you put them in. So, shortly after you create, or a village is created, they will start working on a project. In this case, the project is a tool shop. Here's the objectives for this tool shop to be finished. We need 15 wealth in use, and we need 15 technology in use. So what does in use mean? Here we have 2 of 5 food in use. Does that make sense? So over time, it will fill up on its own. 3 of 5 food, 4 of 5 food. The more that you have available of a resource, doesn't matter which one it is, the faster that resource will fill up. So right now, it's going to go up pretty slow to 5. But if all of a sudden I had 50 food available, it would go up much, much faster. So we want to make sure that they get these projects finished, because when they do, we get a big boon to our abilities, which again, we will talk about here shortly. So we want to get wealth built, and the best way to do that is with the giant, and he's on the way. So let's work on technology instead. Now, technology, the swamp guy is actually good for technology, which makes sense because the swamp people like research. We're going to make some herbs. Herbs are great for technology, which might sound a bit weird. We're going to go ahead and get the crab over here. Since they, again, they are pretty slow, so we want to get going quickly. Now, we want to maximize our research, and quickly. If you look here under symbiosis, symbioses are very important. It says oil roots plus 7 tech for each mineral next to it. So that means if we bookend these peppermints, I will get 14 additional tech, which is great. And that actually synergizes well with mines anyway, because mines give wealth, which is what we need for this this tool shop. So let's go ahead and choose the giant, and we're going to have him make minerals here. And then once he finishes, oh, a new basically telling me there's a new nomad available. Once you get to a certain prosperity, a new nomad will automatically be available, and he's basically looking for a new place to settle. But because there's no resources outside of this area, he won't settle until we set that up. And we'll do that in just a bit, but again, I don't want to get too much going on because it's kind of hard to describe it all at the same time. Now, there is a refreshes on a lot of these abilities, such as the ability to make minerals. 30-second cooldown, so generally you're not going to want to wait on the refresh. You're going to want to be doing other things and then come back. But again, just for simplicity's sake, we are going to wait. Now, you'll notice when I hover this way, notice there is a yellow caution symbol on the icon. That means you can build it there. However, either A, you're going to destroy one of your other previous enhancements, or you're building it out of range of the town. If you click on the town here, this bar indicates how far they can mine. So you might be asking, well, why did I build my minerals here when they can't get to it? The reason is, even though this is out of range of the town, these peppermints will still get the research bonus for those minerals. So keep that in mind. Just because something is out of range of the town doesn't mean you should ignore it completely, because you can still get benefits from synergy bonuses. So we're going to go ahead and build this second mineral patch here. And you'll see now this peppermint is pumping out 21 science, which is pretty damn good. So, but we want to improve this peppermint even more. Right here you can see it says aspects, and there's an empty slot. All of your giants can buff resource patches. These buffs are called aspects. So let's look here under transmutations before we choose which aspect to give the peppermints. Here you can these are transmutations. Basically, if the resource nodes, or the resource patches, I believe they're called, get a specific type of aspect, which again is just basically a buff, they can be transmuted into something different, which itself can give all new buffs. Now, if I put a lesser growth aspect on these tomatoes, or on these peppermints, I can actually increase, or I can transmute them into tomatoes. If I put lesser toxic aspect on them, then I can get marshmallows. I don't have lesser toxic aspect yet, and I will cover how you unlock new abilities here shortly. And we actually don't want to turn these into tomatoes, because if you turn this into tomatoes, you lose these big research bonuses from having the mines on either side, I'm pretty sure. So I don't want to do that. However, I still want to give it a buff to its aspect, because it still helps that resource patch, and you want to get as much resources as possible. And since we are focusing on research and wealth, let's look at our various giants and let's see which ones can help that. This is the water giants aspect. This growth aspect only works for plants, which this is a plant, so that applies. It upgrades a plant with a growth aspect. It adds food and nature. Well, food's not too useful to us, so that's not important. Let's go to the tree giant. Upgrades a plant with a leaf aspect. Adds technology and nature. That's pretty good. The giant, I haven't got any buffs for him, or the swamp guy. So let's go ahead and use the tree guy's buff. Actually, before that, we're going to use fertility boost on it. Now, fertility boost is, I don't quite understand how it works. If you read it, it says upgrades any patch with a fertility boost. Aspect abilities have better effects. In a nutshell, what it's supposed to do is increase the chance that the aspect, again, or the buff that you're casting on that patch is a greater. Because when you cast the aspect, it's random how strong that buff is. You can get a lesser aspect, which helps it still, but not as much, or you can get a greater aspect, which helps it in the same way, but it helps it more. So let's say that I cast this leaf aspect, and maybe it only adds 1 technology if it's lesser. But if it's a greater leaf aspect, then I get 5 technology. So let's go ahead and cast it after we've buffed it. And you'll see the aspect popped up over here. Yep, there it is. And you can tell automatically it's the potent one. They call it potent, not greater. Sorry. So you can tell it's a potent because it has a green ring around it. And when you hover over it, it tells you exactly how much it's giving you. It's a +4 tech and +2 natura, or whatever it is. So that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and look around at what else we can improve. Let's take a look at our tool shop. As you can see, we've got 17 of 15, so technology is good. Wealth in use, we need 11 of 15. Well, we've got 13 wealth max. 36 wealth max. So we can just wait on that. You can also see there's a timer on some of these. I'm actually not crazy about having to have a timer on the projects, because especially once you get 2, 3, 4 villages going and you're having to run your giants back and forth, it can be pretty difficult to get all your projects done. But then again, I think that was probably designed on purpose so that you had to more efficiently manage your towns and manage your giants to make sure all the projects are done, or at least the important ones. So now that we've finished the project, the swamp people designate an ambassador to come to us. The reason that's good is because that unlocks a special ability based on the giant that we use. So again, the ambassador can only be picked up by 1 giant, and you can't swap them out or anything. Once you pick it up, it's permanent. So as you can see here, it says a swamp ambassador has appeared. He can upgrade the following abilities: Forest Giant, Migrate ability, allowing you to move natural resources around. What that means is if I wanted those, what were they? The dandelions. I can actually pick those up and move them to a different spot if I wanted to. Ocean Giant, herd aspect, giving food to animals. The Rock Giant, a seismic ability, giving tech and awe to minerals. Swamp Giant, toxic ability, giving tech to plants. Okay, let's go ahead and think about this. Let's go ahead, since we're not really doing many animals, let's go ahead, and since we want research, let's go, and we have 2 mines, let's go ahead and give it to the Rock Giant. So we're going to select the Rock Giant, and our ambassador has a little tag over her head, and we right click her, and she's got a little top hat. He will pick her up and eat her. Oh, no, he just puts her on his head. Well, he's a nice guy. So these people are happy. They're jumping up and down. The tool shop is done. So not only do you get an ambassador, you also get just a flat benefit from having the tool shop. In this case, it's +10 wealth and +5 tech for each mineral within the border. Stacks up to 3 times. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the various resources really quick. In some way, the resources are arbitrary. What I mean by that is the food, like your villagers don't eat. Like you, technically, as far as I know, you can actually have 0 food and your people won't starve or anything like that. And furthermore, having higher technology doesn't, have them driving around in cars or giving them laser cannons or anything like that. So on that level, the resources are just, they could be resource A, resource B, resource C for all that it really matters. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, they don't really seem to have an actual effect. If nothing else, I would have liked to seen just a visual effect. So for example, if my town was very heavily food centered, maybe the villagers walked around and they were fatter or looked just more healthy. If they were luxury or wealth centered, maybe they walked around with top hats. And well, she did have a top hat, but it seems like I've seen that in all the villages. But anyway, maybe they walk around in top hats and nice clothes. And if we're research centered, maybe they're driving around in little scooters or have jetpacks. Just again, maybe not an actual gameplay difference, but at least some kind of aesthetic difference. So we just got that new ability. Let's try it out. You can see here, seismic aspect. The rock giant unleashes a seismic aspect which upgrades minerals, adds tech, and awe. Awe is not a resource, but if your town grows too quickly, its greed will go up very fast, and they will tend to want to go to war with other tribes. Now, greed is indicated by how many red faces we have. We've only got one, so it's not a big deal right now, but we want to go ahead and upgrade this mine anyway. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to select the seismic aspect, and we'll have him go and use that on this mine. And again, you can see it has the aspect. Now, as you can see here, it actually unlocked a new type of mine. Salt. Transmutes with lesser seismic aspect, which is what we used. Salt is very versatile and can be used for awe, food, wealth, and tech. Well, that sounds pretty damn good. Let's go ahead and upgrade. I will say be careful with your upgrades because sometimes when you upgrade, you lose some aspects. So for example, if this one plant gave me 5 food, and then I upgraded to something else, maybe I get 10 research, but now I get no food or I only get 2 food. So you might want to become more familiar with that because unfortunately it doesn't show you that when you're going to change it over. Like for example, when I hover over iron, because I can actually upgrade it to iron as well because I got lucky on my cast and it was a potent seismic aspect. I can go ahead and do that, but it doesn't tell me the complete stats. So we're going to go ahead and do that anyway. And actually it looks like we did lose some awe with that, but that's okay for now. Now you'll see as we upgraded, we got more aspect slots or more buff slots. So now we can actually buff this iron 3 times, which of course we want to do just to maximize our output from that mine. So again, we're going to cast fertility boost on that mine before we cast the other aspects. And I want to go over fertility boost in just a second because again, I don't 100% understand how that works exactly. While we're doing that, we're going to send the crab over to the desert because it's going to take him a while, and I want to get my second village started over in the desert. So now that we have the mine boosted, I think I've only got one giant who can cast aspects on minerals, and yes, we do. So we're going to actually cast it twice because again, each time we do this, it's going to add minerals and awe. So again, see right now it's 20 research, 14 gold, and 2 awe. So we're going to cast it again for the last slot. And now we're at 23 research, 14 gold, and 3 awe. It's very odd to say awe. Now you can also see this where I've casted the fertility, the little arrows going up. That means that you have a buff on that also increases your chance of getting the more potent aspects. Now, initially what I would think is that because it has this buff, if I cast an aspect on it, then it increases the chance for that particular aspect to be a potent, right? Does that make sense? So maybe normally I have a 50% chance of being potent, 50% chance of it being a lesser. But if the fertility is on it, maybe it's 90% chance when I cast on it, it's going to be a potent, and 10% that it's a lesser. But the thing that is a little confusing is if you look at the patch information, here it says level 1 fertility progressively raises the chances of getting a better aspect up to potent. So the way I'm reading that is it makes me think that if I accidentally, or if I put an aspect on this patch and it's a lesser, that every time this timer runs out, I think it's like 5 minutes or whatever, every time that timer runs out, it has a chance to upgrade that aspect. Now as I say that, I don't think that's how that works. I think it's just increases your chances of putting a potent aspect the longer you keep the buff on. So obviously you would want to put the fertility on soon. Now here's one problem that I have with the aspects, and again, this is probably by design. Let's say I've got my level 3 iron mine here, and I've got 2 potent aspects, but one of them turned out to be a lesser one. If you want to get another chance at that being a potent, you can't just keep recasting it, or at least as far as from my experiments, that doesn't work. What you have to do is completely remake the mine from ground zero and go all the way back up and try again and hope you get lucky that time. So again, I'm assuming that's by design, but something to be aware of. So let's go ahead. We have a settler available. This meter is basically our settler bar. When this is full, because we've gotten enough prosperity, that means we can put another, is a nomad in a different section of the world. But again, we have to have some kind of resource that he is available. That's basically telling me what I was just saying. So we'll close that. We're going to have him put a domestic animal here. And then very shortly after, we'll get a settler. So here, because it's a different biome, you get different plants, different animals, and also different mines, actually. And there's our little settler. Our nomad, sorry. Too much civilization. So deserts focus on wealth, which is mostly the giant's domain. So we'll go ahead and get him over here. Now, just because this project is done, that workshop, doesn't mean this village is finished. They will eventually want to upgrade this to a new level, and it will tell you when that happens. And again, it gives you notifications over here, and up, as you can see, they've started a trade post here, over here in our desert village. And the desert village wants 30 wealth in use. So that's quite a bit of wealth. So we're going to need to get going pretty quickly on the wealth. The way that you get your numbers higher and higher is focusing on that symbiosis. Again, remember when, let's get you over here. Remember when I did the peppermint and I put mines on both sides, because you get 7 additional research for each mine on either side. So you really want to exploit these symbioses, depending on what your village needs. So we want to create a mine here. We'll go ahead and build it in the middle here. That's not really the middle. Go for it. You can't build in the village. They probably would be very angry if you just slapped the mine down there randomly. So let's click on this. This is a quartz mine. Activate symbiosis with 5 wealth in use. So this is kind of a self-fulfilling symbiosis, because once we get to 5 wealth, we'll get more wealth on top of it. Kind of an odd symbiosis. In fact, it's already did it, so that's great. Now let's look at these other symbioses. Resonator, +8 tech if next to stone, +8 wealth if next to another quartz. So how do we maximize that? Again, remember right here is just out of range. So what we want to do is put a stone on the outside, because stone, as you can see from here, just gives tech, and this town focuses on wealth. So it's okay if we put it outside the borders. So we're going to do that. I'm going to have him do that. And you can see we've got another challenge started, but we'll check that in just a minute. And now his quartz, or his precious minerals, is refreshed. So we're going to put another quartz right on the other side of this quartz mine. And as you can see, we've already got up to 66 wealth already. Pretty nice. That's 66 max. There's 8 in use right now. So before we go back and do this other challenge, let's talk about the UI just a little bit. Take a little break here. If you look up here, the very first bar is your remaining time. Remember when we first started, we chose the 30-minute time limit because, well, we didn't have a choice. This tells you how much time you have left before your giants run out of energy and fall back to sleep. So you want to get as much done as you possibly can within that 30 minutes. This is your total prosperity. What is prosperity? Prosperity is all of your food, all of the wealth, and all the technology currently in use. Not available, but in use. So for example, if you look here, we've got 62 research in use out of 88. So this 62 contributes to our overall prosperity. The 88 does not, but it will shortly enough. Now this is our overall prosperity. You can also click on the town, and if you look here, you can see the food, wealth, research, and the prosperity for that town. And you can see we've kept our greed down, which is good. There's no war going on. You can see how much all we're producing, which again, you kind of want to keep your all high unless you want your cities attacking other people. Your village's strength and defense. It also gives certain markers here. The village is not in danger. The village is currently peaceful, and the village respects the giants, which is good because we could destroy them otherwise. And there is times where sometimes you may want to destroy your town. If they're waging war on your other villages, you can have either the swamp or the earth giant destroy the town and kill everyone, which is great. Lastly, here there's 3 danger levels. If the highlight is here, there's no danger. In the middle, they're defending themselves, and then at the end here, that means they are actually dying because there's so much danger. Going back over here, this first icon, the house icon, is how many villages you have. I have 2, and if you click on it, it will show you how much food, wealth, and research they're generating. You can also click on this to focus on whatever the current project is. This shows you our number of projects, how much time you have, and what they require. If you're in any wars, this will light up, and you can click on that to see the status of the wars. And lastly, if you have any ambassadors that you have not picked up, then this will be lit up. This bar here, and I think I might have already mentioned this is your nomad bar. This fills up as your prosperity goes up. You can see we already have another nomad available, but again, just for display purposes, I want to keep it relatively simple here and only go with 2 towns, because once you get up to 3, it can be pretty busy trying to keep everyone happy. Now, these are just some challenges that you can do. They are called unlocks that you can do. As you can see here, classical era, finish an era with 450 prosperity total. Finish an era with a village which has 200 prosperity and 5 ocean patches within its border. And a fiscal military state, finish an era with a village which has 200 prosperity and 3 war markers. You can always see more unlocks here. Think of these as achievements, and there actually is achievements for most of these, if not all of them. The ones with 1 star are the easiest, 2 stars are medium difficulty, and 3 stars are the hardest. As you can see, I have not got any 3 stars. Now, my understanding is that, and honestly, this hasn't really been explained, or if they did, I missed it, but the purpose of getting these is to unlock things such as being able to have an era of 60 minutes or 120 minutes. That's what the era is, because again, remember the 30 minutes we chose at the start? That's the era. At the end of the 30 minutes, the era is over. And I think by doing more and more unlocks, once you get so many, I think you can go up to 60 minutes and then 120 minutes maybe for your era, so you have longer to play. But again, of course, there's always free play. You can always do that, but you can't do any unlocks while doing free play. So this is ready for its 2nd level project. This time it's a geologist. We've got 15 minutes to do it. Geologists are coming to the site to research its soil. We need 65 wealth and use, which we need to work on that. Technology and use, we need 75. We've got 88 total, so we're actually A-okay there. We need 3 mountain patches and at least 3 mines. So that is going to be actually kind of tricky given the size of our village here. It's going to be a bit tricky because we've got this set up to get our research. So that's actually going to be kind of difficult. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and check back to our other town and see what this one needs. We need 30. Oh, we're fine here. Let's go ahead and leave this place. Go ahead and move these guys over. Unpause it. And this, the crab guy can actually cast a buff on other giants, and that will make him move faster, which is a good thing. We definitely need that. Now we can make the mountain over here, which I think I am going to do, because I've got so much of my research focused right here. Putting mountains here, I believe, would be devastating because it would change the type of minerals and types of plants we have, which in effect would change the synergy. So we are going to go over here. And actually what you're going to do is make more ocean, because my concern is that once I raise this, we might run out of water. And if we remove too much water, we lose the swamp. And that's not good. So let's go ahead and wait for him to build the water. Oh, we got a desert ambassador. Nice. Let's see what the desert ambassador can do. For a forest giant, he unlocks the hunt aspects, giving food and danger to animals. Now you might be thinking, why in the hell would I want to give animals a danger aspect? This is important to actually keep your people in check. There's two ways to keep your villages from having them attack other villages. You either give them a lot of awe so that they don't want to get in the fights, or you give them other things to fight, like dangerous animals. If there's dangerous animals around, they'll focus more on that than fighting other people. But if you put too many dangerous animals around, they can actually, I don't know if they can destroy your entire village, but they can hurt its success. So you're going to be careful with that. Forgot to check the other aspects, but that's okay. One other thing I'm not 100% sure of is how the unlocks work. Because some of these aspects that I've bought, not bought, but unlocked by getting ambassadors, they have stayed unlocked even between various eras. Some of them have not. Some of them, like I've bought various abilities before, and now they're gone. So I don't quite know how that works. I don't know how it decides which ones you keep and which ones you don't. Maybe that was from the tutorial. Maybe just the tree giant and the water giant got their buff aspects. I don't remember that, but anyway, let's go ahead and focus on this place first because I think this one's actually going to be kind of difficult. Let's go ahead and raise a mountain now. This might be a bit tricky. We're going to probably have to do it like right about here. Now, luckily, this isn't going to hurt them. You can see they've got little outposts here. That shows the edge of the village. You're going to have to do better than that. It's taking him longer, too, because, there is ocean there. I think I actually might have cast the wrong thing. Yep. Let's keep going. Keep on raising that land. And again, I'm trying to focus on doing one thing at a time. It looks like one of your villages is getting greedy. That's probably the other village. Remember, if the greed grows, if a village grows too fast, you can stop greed from growing by having enough danger within borders, but too much will destroy a village. Okay. Let's go ahead and actually look. The desert ambassador unlock. You can figure out, even if you close that screen, you can figure out what ambassador unlocks what by selecting a giant and then going to these locked abilities. And you can look there, it says unlocks with swamp ambassador, unlocks with desert ambassador, unlocks with forest. So you don't have to memorize what unlocks what. So I want to get some dangerous animals. The swamp guy looks to be good with that. So we're actually going to have the swamp giant go pick them up while we wait. And he'll make some dangerous animals for them to have to contend with. So let's click back on this. How many mountain tiles do we have? 2 of 3. So I wonder if we can raise this mountain higher. Raising a mountain on a village will destroy it. Yeah, we're gonna try to avoid that. I don't know how high you can make this mountain. That might be it. Yeah, we might have to. Yep, we're going to have to go over one more to get that extra mountain tile. What else do we need here? We need a lot of wealth. Well, that shouldn't be a problem because we're going to put some mines up here. So hopefully we will resolve that in due time. Okay, good. Now we have actually 4 of 3 mountain patches. And we need at least 3 mines. You have 2 now. We're going to go ahead and make another precious mineral because we need more wealth. Have him do that. And again, remember, mountains, all the different ecologies will have different resources based on, well, what the biome is. So again, for example, if I put a domesticated animal patch down on a forest, I'll get chickens. If I put the domesticated animal patch down on a swamp, I'll get frogs. So, and all of these different things like chickens and frogs have different symbioses. So you're going to have to remember what is what. So let's look at we have agate here. Agate or agate. Either way, I'm going to mispronounce it. A shelter plus 10 wealth if next to an animal nest. So, because we want that extra money, let's go ahead. Well, before we do that, let's actually give it a buff. Let's give it the seismic buff, seismic aspect. I'm interchanging those words on purpose, by the way, because I find it's easier to learn if you use the more common term. And aspect can mean a lot of different things in games, but buff tends to mean one thing. Nature's looking great. Yes, just another tip. That's fine. So now we can upgrade to this to salt. Transmutes, blah, blah, blah. Salt is very versatile, can be used for all food, wealth, and tax. So let's go ahead and do that. And also, you can see here, when I use the aspect, it's only a lesser. So that's unfortunate. Let's go ahead and have our tree guy do his fertility thing here. While we do that, let's go check on the swamp dude. He's got our little buddy on his head. Did I make any animals over here? I don't think I did. But what he can do is he can make exotic animals. So we'll have him do that. We'll make some exotic animals right here. And now that this is done, we'll go back. As you can see, once you get even 2 villages, you can keep on your toes. So at first, I was thinking, man, I really need a fast forward button. But eventually, I saw that wasn't really very necessary. So let's look at the symbioses on this salt. Saltstone +5 all for each animal nest next to it. Interesting, or we can get interesting ions, +5 tech and +5 wealth for each non-salt mineral next to it. Well, again, we want wealth, so we're going to put a non-salt mineral next to it. We're going to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and bring that up. Now you can also see his fertility boost, which increases your chance of casting a better aspect, has a pretty long cooldown on it. So I'm just going to move him out of the way. So we have... Oh, wait. Oh, no, actually we couldn't cast it there because that's where the village was. And they put the damn thing right there. All right, well, we can't use any symbioses here, unfortunately. I actually should have put this up here, but that's all right. We can always make another one. Let's go ahead and cast the other aspect because, again, we have a second slot here. Let's bring that up. Hopefully it's a greater. Yep, it is. Now, again, because it was a greater, we can now transmute this into an iron mine. So transmute, blah, blah, blah. Iron gives tech, which is best when tested against dangerous beasts. So I don't want to do that because I don't want the science. I want the wealth. So we are going to create another mineral up here. How are we doing here? We need 65. So yeah, we definitely need more wealth. We are going to cast aspect on it. And then probably upgrade it almost immediately. See, that actually generates less wealth. I was paying attention this time. With the quartz generated 8. This one generates 5. So actually what we're going to do is like, you know what? I don't like that. Let's go back to being just a quartz because we're going to get more money from it. And money is what we want in this scenario. So go ahead and destroy it. Remake the agate. We're going to cast the seismic aspect on it to at least get that little buff, which gives tech and all, because why not? And we're going to wait for our timer to run. Actually, while we're waiting, let's go ahead and go back to Swamp Guy. And let's see, we've got a stoat. I don't even know what the hell it is. It looks like some kind of ferret. So anyway, predator aspect. We're going to use that on these stoats. Makes them scary ferrets. I do getting. So now they're scary and they are a little bit dangerous. Now we can transmute them into fox because we put the lesser predator aspect on them. Foxes give more wealth. The more smaller animals they can hunt. So we're just going to go ahead and put them to foxes. As you can see, they generate 1 danger, which keeps the villagers, quote unquote, busy. In other words, scared for their lives from these cute little foxes. So again, remember, we're back to here. We get the agate, +10 wealth if next to an animal nest. So what we want to do is bring our buddy the crab over. We are going to put some creatures there. Oops. Come on. There you go. You can always tell if you did it right because their circular little face will pop up. And again, I normally would be switching back and forth between villages, but again, just to keep you guys and myself sane, I'm going to mostly focus on this village, but I did want to show you that once you start running two to three villages at the same time, it can definitely be pretty hectic. I don't think I've ever created these. Martins. Martin. So you can see we're creating 18 wealth here, which is pretty damn nice. That brings our total possible wealth up to 75. Our geologist needs 65, and we're actually 64 of 65, and there we go. Swamp Ambassador has appeared. This will be the same abilities. Now, here's another thing that I really do not like. You cannot give more ambassadors to a giant than what other giants have. For example, the stone giant here, the earth giant, he has one ambassador. I could not give him another ambassador, right? I would have to give the water giant and the tree giant ambassadors, and then I could give him another ambassador. I really don't like that. It limits how you choose to build your giants. I think it's kind of an arbitrary restriction. Again, not a huge deal, but I honestly think it's kind of unnecessary. So it's a swamp guy. So let's see. Also, when you highlight the ambassador, you can see on my tray, there's a little arrow pointing up to that ability. So let's see. Upgrades an animal with a herd aspect, which adds food. We're not going to focus too much on food because neither one of our villages really worry too much about food. He already has the swamp aspect, I believe. No, it's over here. Let's see. Forest giant grabs what's on a patch and places it at the select area. I'm not really crazy about that one. You already have a swamp ambassador, and you unlock upgrades a plant with toxic and adds tech. Tech's pretty good, so I'm going to have you... Oh, that's right. The swamp giant already has an ambassador, so I can't pick him up. Again, see, I really don't like that. But anyway, we'll go ahead and pick up the water guy. The water giant. My favorite, because again, he's a giant crab, and there is nothing more awesome than crabs. The giants are growing stronger and stronger, but it seems that humans have noted this as well. At some points, the human will no longer be impressed with completing some projects and demand higher level projects. With 6 ambassadors given, the humans will no longer give ambassadors for normal projects, with 10 no longer for upgrade projects, and with 14 no longer with great projects. So these simple projects I'm making are great now, but once I have 6 ambassadors, I'm going to have to help them finish even more and more higher level projects. And again, the first project is level 1. Once they upgrade it, like we just did with this geology exploration doohickey, that's 2, and so on and so forth. Obviously, with a 30-minute time limit, it would be very difficult to get very high, but on the 60 and 120 minutes, I would imagine it would not be as difficult. So I'm going to try to keep it unpaused now because we've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to. There's a lot more to this than what I'm showing. Managing your symbioses and your people and trying to get multiple villages at the same time, that's when it gets pretty complicated, and I hope that I've been explaining it pretty well up until this point. So this desert village is now building a market. We've got 14 minutes to do it. Village is trying to use trade to boost its economy for the new market. We need 120 wealth in use, and at least one neighbor has more than 20 wealth in use. So I've actually never seen this one before. 120 wealth. See, that's quite a bit. So we're really, again, going to have to abuse both synergies and aspects to get everything as high as possible. And again, don't think that, okay, well, wealth is entirely all about mines. Food is all about animals and plants. It can go different ways. Some animals give additional wealth. As you can see, these foxes actually provide 1 wealth. It's not as good as the mines, but sometimes you need more than just the mines or that one particular unit to fully round out the city. So how are we going to get to 120 wealth? First of all, let's get all of our giants over here, because we are now going to focus mostly on this town, because I don't think the other one's going to start a level 3 project. So let's look at our mines that we have. These are not, these do not have any aspects at all. So that's not good. We definitely want to get those buffed up. I'm trying to think if I want to go ahead and upgrade these, the salt, because it seems like they hurt the wealth though. Let's do, See, now here's where you really have to start making decisions. Because let's look at our Symbioses here. It gives me +8 wealth if next to another quartz. So, if I take away either of these quartz, I'm going to immediately lose 16 wealth. Does that make sense? Because both of these quartz mines are getting 8 wealth each from being next to each other. So deleting one automatically loses me 16 wealth. So whatever upgrade path I'm choosing, it better be in such a way that I'm going to get more than at least that 16. So I'm probably going to fail on that because I don't understand the upgrade paths all that well. But let's go ahead and get one of these upgraded as high as we can. So let's do this one. We're going to go ahead and cast Fertility Boost. While that's happening, we're going to bring our giant buddy over here to cast his aspect on this mine. The other thing that you have to consider when doing these upgrades is that every time you upgrade them a level, every time you transmute them to a new level, that adds another aspect. So even though you lose a little bit of, let's say, wealth in this case, because you switched from quartz mine to a salt mine, you have 2 new slots for aspects. So that might, at worst, even out the wealth you lost, in addition to whatever additional resources you're getting, or it might actually make it better. So again, things that you need to think about. Let's go ahead and transmute that. And again, I got lucky, and well, I didn't get lucky. I actually used fertility on that. So I have a proper or a potent seismic aspect, so I can immediately upgrade this to iron if I so choose, and I do choose. See, that doesn't give me any wealth, which does suck. Tell you what, let's go ahead and redo this. See, again, this is kind of it's kind of trial and error, and it doesn't have to be. That's one thing I honestly don't like is, let me go ahead and wait and show you. Okay, let's go ahead and, luckily it still has fertility, so we'll go ahead and buff it again, and hopefully we get potent again, because I like to show this as an example. Okay, so again, I can look at this salt, and it gives me a rough idea that I'll get, awe, food, wealth, and tech, but it doesn't tell me exactly. So I would like, when I'm hovering over this, for it to say, this will mean this mine has a base of, 5 research, 10 wealth, and 1 awe, or whatever. Not vague numbers, because again, when you're trying to finish projects, you kind of need to know. And if you're like me, your memory's terrible, and you'll have issues with that. But let's go ahead and upgrade it to a salt mine to get it to level 2. But we're not going to take it to iron. We are going to cast another seismic aspect on it, so we can get that going. Even though seismic aspects actually don't increase the money that is generated, but that is okay. Again, we're probably not going to actually get this project done, but I wanted to just, again, show you how all this works, and how there is actually a lot of planning. Initially, it seems like you're just throwing things willy-nilly, but once you start getting these projects that require a lot of resources, of a specific resource, and looking at your very limited area, you really do need to plan. Let's look at our foxes. +2 wealth for each rabbit, beaver, or chicken within range. So let's choose our water aspect. And let's set some chickens here. Now they have to be within range of the foxes, not the town, the foxes. So again, if you really wanted to plan this out well, as opposed to what I'm doing, you could put the foxes right on the edge of the town, and then put the chickens and whatnot outside the town's range, So you're not using up valuable space, but you're getting the benefit from the foxes being able to get to the chickens by giving you more wealth. Does that make sense? So, let's see. But as you can see, it's not giving you a lot of wealth. That's why I say it might be best to put the foxes here and then, again, put the chickens outside. Because, again, this village, food is not very important to this desert town, which seems a bit strange, but whatever. And we can't put any chickens over here. Well, we can, but you won't get the benefit for the foxes because, as you can see, the range is well beyond where the foxes will go. And as you can see, the foxes are going over to the chickens and giving them a hard time. I don't think they have any gruesome chicken fatalities or anything, but they are meandering over there and seeing what's going on. All right, let's try to get more minerals. In fact, let's go ahead and let's experiment a bit because, again, we're probably not going to make that. Let us make an exotic. Actually, no, that was the normal animals, I believe. No, that was no. Let's double check it. I think we can click on it. Yes, if you click on it, I think it just says animal. It's not an exotic animal. So let's have our swamp dude make exotic animals because that's what he does. Let's put it right by the edge. And see what we get. We get, ooh, the desert tortoise. Oh, turtles are awesome. Even tortoises are awesome. So it's an herbivore, +3 wealth if next to a plant. So again, plants don't really help us in this scenario. So we are going to build a plant, and we'll go ahead and just make it an herb because I don't think it really matters in this case. Again, the herb is outside of the town, but it doesn't matter because it's close to the turtle. Now, keep in mind here, notice it says +3 wealth if next to a plant. This doesn't mean if I keep putting plants next to it, I'll get +3, +3, +3. So make sure to distinguish which one gives you cumulative bonuses and which ones just give you a one-time bonus. So let's go ahead and look here. We have only got one giant who can give animals an aspect. And I hope I've explained that well. The aspects or buffs usually, well actually always, can only be cast on one particular type of resource, whether it's animals, plants, or minerals. So this predator aspect cannot be cast on plants, and it cannot be cast on minerals. Just like this aspect, the seismic aspect, cannot be cast on animals or plants. Does that make sense? So that's another thing you need to plan when picking your aspects and who to give the ambassador to. So let's go ahead and make these some predatory tortoises. It makes them even more awesome. Hadouken! So they have the predatory, so it's +3 wealth, or +1 wealth if at least 3 natura, which it does. This is another cool feature that I like. If the symbiosis is met, it lights up in green like this. That way you immediately know, yes, I'm getting that bonus. Now we can transmute these into rattlesnakes, which give wealth if hunted for their hides, but get more dangerous and more precious if they can feed on smaller animals. Well, that sounds like it's fun. I just want to see my people squirm. So we've dropped to 3 wealth. We did have 4. But again, there's a new symbiosis. +1 wealth for each patch with a kangaroo rat, armadillo, or desert tortoise within range. So let's go ahead and... oh, the giants are starting to lose energy. Now, basically, this means you're about to run out of time. So basically, the giants slowly start going asleep, so they will stop responding. I'm going to try to get my tortoise to come over here and build some desert tortoises, but he's probably going to fall asleep. Once you get that message, the giants fall asleep pretty damn quickly after that. But yeah, as we're coming to a close here, you can see that initially, you know, that's just kind of, you know, build whatever you need immediately, as fast as you can, blah, blah, blah. But as you progress, oh, you can see they're falling asleep. Oh, they're getting all droopy. Oh, sleepy giants. We got strong sad over here. Oh, I don't want to go to sleep. Freddy Krueger will get me. Oh, but my eyes are so heavy. His eyes actually, or at least his eyelids literally are very heavy. Probably several tons. But yeah, we're about to end this era as he's always the last to go to sleep. I don't know if that's random but it always seems like these guys fall asleep around the same time, then the giant is last. So you can see the challenges that I completed. All of these are ones I've already done, though. If they're new, it'll make it more flashy and pompy to let you know, hey, you've did some new challenges. But Desert Tribe, finish an era with a desert village with over 100 village prosperity. Finish an era with 250 prosperity. Finish an era with a completed upgraded project. And finish an era with a swamp village, which has 100 village prosperity. So you can actually continue if you want. Like if you're really enjoying this experiment, you can just say, oh yeah, I want to keep going. And your giants go, oh God, Mom, I want to go back to bed. It's Saturday. But yeah, you can just keep going if you want. But again, remember, you can, if you like, just play free play. And just to show you some of the, oh, we've already went over the unlocks, haven't we? But anyway, that is Reus or Reus. I actually quite enjoy this. I believe it is, damn it. I meant to check again. I believe it's $10 on Steam. Let me check on that real quick. Yes, it is $10 on Steam. If you are into this type of God game, again, like Populous or Black and White, again, it's not as in-depth as those games, I would say, but there is still some depth there in your planning, especially once you get to second and third stage project planning, and you've got multiple villages going on at the same time. You're trying to keep them under control. So there can be a lot going on. It's a really fun game. I really enjoy it. Again, if you're into this type of game, check it out. For $10, I think it'd be crazy, at least, again, not to take a look at Reus by Abbey Games. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you play this game, please, in the comments below, let me know. I'd like to hear about your experiences. Tell me if you bought it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Whatever. I'd love to hear from folks who actually have purchased this game and have played it. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.